Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everybody.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer tips, insights, ideas, and examples for how small, emerging, and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can build their business. Everything from determining if you're ready to grow, where to start, how to prove it online, how to go about securing distribution at a national retailer, driving your business with the end consumer, and how to go about finding an investor if that's important to you. The bottom line is, we would love to help you be successful by highlighting the many important factors that go into establishing and growing your brand.
Bruce and I have been working in CPG commercial operations for over 30 years, working on brands of all sizes. By commercial operations, we mean sales, marketing, trade marketing, new product development, broker and distributor management, new product development, brand M&A, and financing. As a part of our show, we bring our guests that are brand founders and leaders, agencies, Amazon specialists, sales agents, contract manufacturers, retailers, and investors to discuss their experiences and share their insights with the audience.
To keep up with the show, please subscribe to the Road to Retail podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leave us a review and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. You can also check out our website to learn more at www.road2retail.com and follow The Road to Retail on LinkedIn. We would love to have you along for the ride.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our latest episode of Road to Retail. Good to see you, Bruce.
Tracy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. I think we've got a great episode today. So why don't you tell our audience on who we have today?
Today, we're fortunate to be joined by Michael Law, who's the Chief Commercial Officer of Eagle Labs. Eagle Labs is a contract manufacturer, and Michael's going to go into some detail on exactly what they do. But before we get there, Michael, welcome to the show, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you guys very much. Excited to be here.
Great. Well, why don't we start out? Why don't you just tell the group a little bit about who you are and how you've ended up in this role? And after that, we'll jump into exactly what you guys do.
Perfect. Yeah, my background is 30 years in consumer packaged goods. I started in sales, selling up and down the street to retailers, Wrigley's chewing gum. So started at the probably the most humble best place to start. We were selling 15 times a day to different retailers. And I progressed my career through various roles at Wrigley's and then into a company called Warren Lambert that had a confectionery division. I left Warren Lambert and went to, that company was acquired by Pfizer Consumer Healthcare, and then Pfizer sold their consumer healthcare to J&J. So I ended up with a over 20-year career at Johnson & Johnson. Living in Canada, Brazil, and several different states in the US, doing things like running the CVS team. I was brand director on Neosporin for a couple of years, led global capabilities. So a number of different roles in sales and marketing. I also had a career for 5 years at Edgewell Personal Care, where I led all internal sales functions. And then 5 years ago, I left and joined Eagle Labs, first in a consulting role. And then a little over a year ago, I started on full-time as Chief Commercial Officer.
Awesome.
Great. That's quite a trip. I remember the old Adams Confectionery Group there at Warner.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was, they call it the three-stooled legs. They had a couple of consumer divisions and then the pharma division.
It worked well for them. Tracy?
That's awesome. Absolutely. Well, Michael, as you know, we have our audience today is small, emerging, and challenger brands, so either sales leaders or brand founders. So why don't you tell our audience today a little bit about Eagle Labs and the types of services that you guys offer?
Absolutely. So Eagle Labs is an NSF certified contract manufacturer of dietary supplements, skincare, and over-the-counter medications. So that means we can make anything that is a capsule, tablet, chewable tablet, powder, liquid, lotion, cream, or gummy. And we have several different facilities in the Tampa area that do all of that manufacturing. So everything we do is manufactured by us in one of our Florida facilities.
Awesome. And one quick question for you, because I know a little bit about this, and our paths have crossed in the past a little bit. So, does a brand have to have their own formula, or do you have a catalog of formulas that they can choose from?
Yeah, great question. So we offer both solutions. So we actually have a separate division called Full Stack Fulfillment that does about 40 different white label alternatives. So a brand could pick from that list and have very low investment in inventory and essentially just provide a label and access to their consumer demand. We would do the manufacturing, we would do the labeling, we would do the shipping. Eagle Labs, as a pure entity, is a manufacturer of custom contract manufacturing items. So you can either bring us a formula or we can develop one with you. Many cases, a marketer will have an idea and some consumer benefits that they want to achieve, and we'll use our R&D team to develop a formula, get their approval, have a supplement fact panel signed off on if it's a dietary supplement, and then align on a finished product specification and go into manufacturing.
Awesome. I love it. Bruce?
Interesting. So Michael, in any competitive category, and contract manufacturing certainly is in that arena, how do you guys differentiate Eagle Labs from other contract manufacturers?
Yeah, great question, because if you don't know who to call, you're probably going to Google contract manufacturer for skincare or dietary supplements, and you'll be lost. It would be like trying to find somebody to provide some service at your home without having any leads or references. So the way that Eagle Labs differentiates itself, and our motto is your strategic partner, is we really strive to be a partner. We are not looking for transactional relationships. We're really looking for businesses that we can partner and grow with. So we work with small brands, small opportunities, if we believe that our investment in that relationship over time will allow us to become their partner to scale with. So key things that differentiate us include a full R&D staff. So we've got a team in R&D that can help formulate. As I said, you can either provide us with a formula, or you can say, hey, I want something that is going to deliver these consumer benefits. If it's a dietary supplement or a like a capsule or a tablet or a skincare product, we can help with things like flavoring as well. So beyond just the chemical formulations, we're really good at flavoring, and hydration as a category has just taken off. So we've done a lot of hydration formulating, for example, with different flavor profiles. Another thing that really differentiates Eagle Labs is our focus on quality. We have a very big quality team. We have almost 500 employees in total, and roughly 20% of them are focused on quality, whether that's quality on the floor, checking to make sure that capsules hit weight when they're being manufactured, or quality in terms of assuring that our products test out for an appropriate certificate of analysis before they're released to the customer. Yeah, those are probably two of the big things. The other thing that really differentiates us is the diversity of the product types that we can make. So we can help you transition from one product form to another to another. So we can really help you build out a full brand portfolio that might be interesting and allow you to not have to seek 3 or 4 different contract manufacturers. We can take on just about any kind of project across supplements, skincare, and OTCs.
So as an example, sorry, Bruce. So you could start with a lotion and maybe move to a roll-on and then maybe to a stick or something like that. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about a CVS or a Walgreens retail outlet and you walk up and down the aisles, there's virtually nothing that we can't manufacture unless it's like either a medical device or anything that's a starts with a powder, starts with a liquid, starts with a lotion or a gummy, we can manufacture.
So
Awesome.
one other quick follow-up here, Michael, before we kick it back to Tracy. As part of your staff, so having such a big quality commitment is really interesting, and that would make me rest easy if I was looking for a contract manufacturer. Do you guys have a complete regulatory group as well, or is that a burden you place more on the clients?
So our quality team plays some role there, but if you're looking for pure regulatory and compliance counseling and consulting, then we do have partners that we recommend. Like if you are looking, we have a whole label department that will review and approve label decks. But for example, if you tried to say, "Hey, this product will cure cancer or relieve muscle pain," and it's not an OTC, then obviously we're not going to approve that label. Um, if you're looking for like how do I navigate this regulatory pathway for moving from a supplement to an OTC product, we would probably refer you to a partner that we have that are regular or partners that we have that are regulatory experts.
No, excellent. That's logical. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
So Michael, let's so we know, and you've mentioned that finding a contract manufacturer is not an easy thing. So don't use Google. Take a referral from somebody, I think. But
Yes.
also then, what about, how do you choose one once you do find one? So obviously we met you at had the opportunity to meet you at the Innovation Founders Day back in December in New York, and you gave a great presentation about, what to look for. So maybe give us some highlights from that presentation on
Yeah.
what are you supposed to look for?
I think the first thing is really to focus on quality because if you don't have quality, you don't have anything. There's no point in starting with a manufacturer and then finding out that they can't achieve the quality standards that you expect. And some of the best ways to assess quality are to assess the manufacturer's certifications. So Eagle Labs, for example, is NSF certified. That means there's an independent certifying body that comes in at least once a year and evaluates all of your SOPs, all of your manufacturing standards. They can ask to pull any batch record and examine it to make sure that procedures are being followed. They look at your cleaning schedules. They look at how your employees are trained. So it's ultimately very similar to an FDA inspection. The FDA does not have enough staff to get to every manufacturing facility in the US. So they rely on standards bodies like NSF to do those kinds of inspections and certifications. And if you don't pass the certification, you don't get the updated designation and you lose your NSF certification. So it's something that we take extremely seriously. You do not have to have an inspection or an NSF certification to manufacture dietary supplements. So if I had a brand and I was looking for a contract manufacturer, I'd really want to make sure that that the contract manufacturer had a certification from an outside body like NSF. You can do basic record searches to see if there are complaints or violations that a given contract manufacturer has been put on record for. And then depending on how you want to market your product, you may want to look at things like organic certification. Are they Health Canada registered, meaning can they actually ship products to Canada and deal with the regulatory body up there that will allow you to ship and sell products in that market? So yeah, really understanding the kinds of certifications that may be important to your marketing and then making sure that you're putting that in as a filter. It's important that you really understand capabilities and capacity. So there's an answer. If you ask me, hey, can you do chewable tablets? You might get a comment that says, yeah, we can do that. And what they're really saying is we can source that for you and we can put it in a bottle and ship it for you, but you may never know unless you visit our facilities that we actually don't manufacture that item. So the question is, what products do you manufacture that I can come and see the machine running? So understanding capabilities, product forms, there's a huge difference, obviously, between a dietary supplement and an OTC, a cosmetic skincare product, and an OTC external analgesic. So it's important to really understand what are they certified and what are their capabilities. Capacity is another one. There's a massive difference between, hey, I need 5,000 units made. I can comply with your 12-week lead time, but in 2 years or in 18 months, I expect to be at 50,000 units a week. Are you going to be the right co-man for me in 18 months that you were when you said you could do a small run of 5,000? And that's on the contract manufacturer to ask those kinds of questions, but also on the brand to really understand, am I going to have to switch my formula, switch all my relationship from a small guy to somebody who can help me scale? I'll pause there to see if you have any questions, and I can go into a couple more.
Yeah, Michael, you might be about to get here, but with a lot of the small emerging challenger brands or an entrepreneur with an idea, and you just touched on it a little bit around capabilities and quantities, but can you tell the group about the importance of understanding and asking for minimum order quantities, MOQs for those that have done this before, and lead times? Because all that stuff has to get backed into a schedule, because when you promise a retailer something's going to be there on this date, you got to back it up with your co-man, say, hey, if you need 12 weeks and then it's 5 weeks into their supply chain before it hits for the new planogram drop.
Yeah. Yeah, you really have to map out the timeline. And I don't think we're unusual in I think it's fairly standard 12 weeks. Can we manufacture something next week if it wasn't on the schedule, but we have all the ingredients and components? Yes. Can we do that every week? No. So most of the custom contract manufacturing is done with like a 12-week lead time. That's 12 weeks from approved art, having like all of the label copy finalized, having the supplement fact panel signed off, having a finished product spec signed off, understanding what you want to test the finished goods for before release, and then from that date forward, 12 weeks. That gives our procurement team to finalize all sourcing, to bring the materials in for things to be scheduled, and then at least a couple of weeks, typically on the end of the run, once it's actually finished, to allow for testing. And importantly, we test for heavy metals, we test for micro, and we test for at least one assay. So it could be like vitamin C or vitamin D, for example, and that all goes into the final COA that allows the release of the product. If any of those things fail, we can't release the product. You don't own it, and the liability is on us, or ideally whoever else you're working with that co-man, that they can't ship you the finished good unless it's met all of those specifications.
So I want to emphasize this because it's really important for our small emerging brand audience. It's not 12 weeks from the time Michael and the brand says, hey, let's work together, or hey, I just sent you my formula. You have to check all those boxes you mentioned, and then it's 12 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, we can do it in shorter time. We actually like a little bit longer time if it's the first run, because that's usually when you figure out all the kinks. If you're doing a capsule, you want to make sure that you can hit the fill. And you want to make sure that the product is going to run smoothly and seamlessly through the encapsulating process. Sometimes you need to add more flow agent. Sometimes you need to add a bit more of an excipient to make the capsule look full. But all of that stuff you learn on the first time run. So we often recommend a pilot batch, which is a smaller PO at the limited MOQ, so that we can figure out all those kinks, work through those kinks, and then go to much larger production scale.
And I would say you need to plan probably for some kind of snafu along the way.
Yeah. You don't know. I mean,
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, a phrase I heard early in my time in contract manufacturing is, when you encounter an issue, sometimes you hear it's contract manufacturing. You don't know what you don't know. Every week you could be making something different. When I worked at J&J, I had a chance to visit the Listerine plant, and that plant just runs Listerine all day, every day, and they just customize it at the tail end for different labels for different markets. But we're manufacturing different items virtually every day. So getting the first run right helps us to work out those kinks. So you need to think about that as well.
Yeah, so there's hardly any moving parts. So this is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Nothing can go
Michael,
wrong.
so Michael, this is kind of dovetails off of that. So what does a contract manufacturer look for or expect from a potential client? You know, what kind of questions would you ask or tells do you and your team look for when you're interviewing someone who calls you up and you're like, yeah, they're not ready. This is just going to be a headache.
Yeah. So we get leads that come in through our website and our various company websites. Um, the first the first thing that sort of raises a signal or a question or a red flag is, are they sending me an email from a Gmail address or a Yahoo address or a Hotmail address or some other address than a company address? If it's a Gmail address, that probably tells me they don't have a company established, they have an idea. Um, so that's not a barrier to working with somebody, but it's an initial flag. The second is, I'm thinking of launching a supplement line, or I'm thinking of launching a new skincare product. Um, you need to be a lot further along than I'm thinking of to really be ready to talk to us. Ideally, it's, I have a formula in mind. I'd love to talk to your R&D team, have it vetted, and then go from there to locking in a relationship and a purchase order. So those are a couple of the things. If they say, hey, I want to launch a new custom gummy, I'd like to buy 1,000 bottles. Well, 1,000 bottles of a 30 counts is 30,000 gummies. We pretty much don't turn on our machine, for example, unless it's 1 million or 2 million gummies. So that's where your MOQ will be in terms of the number of physical gummies, because it takes so long to clean the machine. So we really have to have a full shift of manufacturing of one specific item to make it worthwhile for both parties.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we work with entrepreneurs who've never launched in these categories before. But as I think I said earlier, we're really looking for partners and long-term relationships than a specific opportunity. We've turned down some massive retail opportunities and some large brands because it wasn't a good fit. We're in business to make money like anybody else, and so we're looking for all the combination of, is there a lot of future growth potential? Are there people we want to deal with? Do we think we can make margin? And is this a good fit with our core capabilities and capacity?
Excellent. That's really helpful.
Yeah, and I think also, I think one thing I want to highlight is the understanding the MOQ, your MOQ,
Yeah.
For the brand, I think is really something you have to really make sure you understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, share with your audience, like for a newish brand starting off, our typical MOQs are probably around 5,000 units. Does that mean we'll do 5,000 units for anybody that wants to do it? No, we're going to vet you just like you're vetting us and make sure that what we don't want to do is do a 5,000 unit run and never talk to the person again because they could never figure out how to sell 5,000 units. So we're looking for somebody who's got some marketing capabilities. They understand. Often our clients have some e-com expertise. So what have you done in the past that demonstrates your ability to drive consumption and traffic to a website to sort of monetize your idea? Yeah, we're really looking for somebody that we can grow with.
That's smart. That's very smart. So it's not just about just a contractual agreement. It's about a long-term partnership, which I love, and I think our audience loves to hear that as well. So talking about vetting, so let's talk about a brand comes to, your manufacturing facility. Talk to us a little bit about what they should be, looking for when they're there at your site, and also what questions should they ask?
Yeah. Great question. So that's actually a good question for your audience is, how many tours do you guys do? When was your last one? Because if they're not doing tours, that means they're not generating interest. or they don't want to show clients around. We had a tour on Friday. I have a tour tomorrow, and we have another tour on Wednesday. So we do a lot of tours. We believe that the best way to sell our capabilities is to show vetted potential clients everything that we can do. So the kinds of questions that they should ask is, am I going to see manufacturing where my product would be made? That will give you confidence that they actually do make that product form. And if it's a
Right.
capsule, you want to see some capsules getting spit out of an encapsulator. If you want a glass bottle, you're going to want to see some examples of runs they've had with glass bottles. Yeah, so it's really important to understand that you're going to see the product form that you want the manufacturer to make, so you're certain that it's not a brokered arrangement. You should meet with people like the COO. My counterpart is often on these tours. Our CEO, the owner of the company, is often on these tours. So a facility tour is not something that gets delegated into the low bowels of the organization. It's something that we take very seriously, and the most senior level of our organization gets involved in. You will almost always get the chance to meet our director of quality, our director of R&D, our director of purchasing. So you get to see the kinds of people that will be working on your business and their teams. So you should get the chance to see the facilities. And in our case, you would see a solid dose facility, does capsules, tablets, and powders. You'd see a gummy facility that does gummies and liquids. You'd see a lotion and cream facility. And we'd probably also take you to our finished goods warehouse so you could see where your product would be shipped from, and our fulfillment center, which is called Full Stack Fulfillment.
So you get to see you get to meet everybody in the entire team, and you
Yeah.
get to see, the whole facility. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
Because I was just going to say, it's a privilege for us to be able to show you all of these things. And we think that you should be exposed to every part of our organization. So as your business grows and you say, wow, I hadn't thought about a gummy, but now it makes sense. So I'm glad I saw that because I know they can do it. And I have confidence that they would be a good choice for that, whether it's us or anybody else.
Fantastic.
I think it's good to hear that, guys like you and the C-suite and department heads are available to the tours. And while, things can be a little disruptive in the day, don't have much of a business if you don't have any of those darn customers, right? So
Yeah,
getting out there and
And
kind of showing what you're capable of, it can be a differentiator. I've gone on a bunch of these tours and I met like a BD person and they couldn't get me out of there fast enough. So
Customers are not an inconvenience. They're the reason we're in business.
exactly. So Michael, in this kind of ebbs and flows, can you tell the group a little bit about not only the contract manufacturer, but really digging in a layer deeper to how important is it to understand where all the inputs are coming from? Because depending upon the political winds, now and then stuff from this country or that country
Yeah.
is a little out of favor and can cause you trouble. So can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll give you a little story as part of that on how the company has and continues to position itself as your strategic partner. So, on the packaging side during COVID, most of the bottles that are sold in the U.S. are sold through U.S. brokers, but the bottles are actually made in places like China. The owners were having trouble getting bottles on a reliable basis, and that can shut down our business. So they opportunistically purchased a blow molding company in Pennsylvania that does most of our on-demand or our white label bottles now. It's called Nuco Packaging. So had an issue with potential restricted supply, thought about an opportunity to make sure that we had continuous demand, bought a company and converted it to make bottles that we use and we actually sell now to some of the packaging brokers. On the ingredient side, you're absolutely right. A lot of the ingredients that are used in dietary supplements and skincare are sourced from overseas, whether it's India, China, or other countries. So in terms of quality standards, just real quick, we vet any new supplier. So we don't just buy something because a supplier has it. We vet the supplier. They have to be qualified. once they're qualified and we brought in sample raw materials, had them tested, they test out, then they become qualified and we can buy from them. But yeah, we stay very close to understanding things like potential impacts of tariffs and buying ahead if needed, or if there's port strikes. I mean, there are 100 different things that could cause business interruption. We try to think and plan for them. One, by carrying inventory, and two, by making sure that we stay very connected to very strong suppliers who can help us work through supply chain crunches.
Yeah, and just so folks understand the importance of what Michael just said, again, things ebb and flow, but I've been involved with brands where when securing new distribution at large retailers, you have to fill out in painful detail where like all of these inputs of your product are coming from, whether it's bottles, ingredients in the different formulas, or even the shippers. So
Yeah.
it's really important that your contract manufacturer is on top of these issues because they're dynamic. They're changing all the time. So Michael, that was a great point you made there. So thank you. Tracy?
So yeah, so Michael, as brands get started, it's not always easy to have a forecast or to know what your, sell-through rate is and things like that. So
Yeah.
how do you handle or talk to us about a situation where a brand gets started and they say, "Hey, Michael, let's start with, 5,000 MOQ," and they're selling on Amazon, and the next thing you know, they've sold their brand into or their product into Walmart, and now they have an order for, 20,000 units.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, how do you deal with that, and maybe give us an example of, maybe something that's happened in the past
Yeah.
where, because like you said earlier, sometimes you can move on a dime and sometimes you can't.
Yeah. So about an hour ago, we had a call with our COO, myself, sales rep, and the customer that is scaling on Amazon. And we got into that level of detail. Like, we can help you stay in stock, but we need to have a clear understanding of what you think the average weekly sales will get to and when, and sort of where you see over the next 12 to 16 weeks any changes in copy, any changes in media spend, any changes in demand on DTC versus Amazon or other sales channels you may have. And we'll build out. It's almost like the CPFAR, Collaborative Forecasting, Planning and Replenishment, Planning, Forecasting, Replenishment, where you have a weekly dialogue on, okay, what happened last week in terms of demand? How does that impact the in-stock level and the future forecast? And so we'll get into that level of detail. It's not get a forecast or get a PO and throw it over the fence. We want to be intimately involved in the details of your business. And that's why, again, we think of ourselves as a strategic partner versus just a transactional co-man. And if you don't have the expertise to manage that kind of demand planning, we'll give you a Google sheet where you just put in the numbers, and it'll show kind of your in-stock levels, when you'll need to hit a reorder point. And yeah, it's part of our strategic partnership is helping you think about your future demand, your planning, and your forecasting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Bruce?
That's really helpful. So
Yes.
Michael, in any business relationship, supplier, whether it's agencies or obviously this would never happen at Eagle Labs, but how should a brand work through the challenges of working with a contract manufacturer when troubles arise or you hit a bit of a speed bump, before people panic or overreact and hit the "it's time for a change" button? Like, how do you kind of counsel people to, hey man, keep calm. No one's trying to do things wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think part of my message to brands that are looking for co-mans is really evaluate the management team and the people that you're going to be dealing with, for cultural fit and sort of communication style. You should be able to ask, like, how are we going to communicate with you? Who am I going to be in touch with weekly? How are we going to communicate? I mean, we communicate with people on different messaging apps because we do work with a global audience of clients. whether it's Telegram, WhatsApp, Skype, text messaging, email, phone calls. So we want to communicate with you in your preferred method of communication. But understanding, ideally visiting the site, meeting the management team, and then checking references, and then establishing a level of trust. If you don't trust your co-man, that's a pretty strong signal that you need to get out. So yeah, trust is probably the biggest thing for me, but things like missed deadlines without any communication, potential cost overruns, inability to execute a product based on a signed finished product spec. So yeah, most of it will come down to communication issues. A lot of people come to us because their co-man stopped responding. They were given a PO, they were told to be done in 12 to 16 weeks, and they just stopped responding, and they eventually never made their product, probably because they couldn't figure it out or it wasn't a priority. May have been a nightmare. Yeah. We have terminated relationships with customers on our side if they were a bad fit. So it has to be a good fit on both sides. But yeah, I mean, I believe in the phrase bad news early. So if we have a hiccup in manufacturing, we'd rather let you know about it, and we can both kind of problem solve together. If we have a supply chain issue, ingredients delayed, we'd rather bring you into the loop on that. So you can do things like slow down your marketing activities or give your customers a heads up through your customer service outreach programs. Yeah, if you don't have trust, if you're not getting updates on communication on your product and where it's moving through the manufacturing pipeline, or if there's cost overruns, those are some of the key issues that we see in terms of why people come to us.
So, Michael, it sounds like a marriage, trust and communication.
It is. Yeah, no, well, I actually use that phrase. We're not looking to date. We're looking for partners that we want to essentially become married to in a manufacturing and marketing standpoint. And many of the customers that we deal with or clients we deal with, we actually can help them think about some of their challenges. We've got great connections in regulatory and IP protection, in thinking about how to market on Amazon, how to market on TikTok, how to market in brick and mortar. So we can offer a lot beyond just being good at manufacturing, and we try to extend those capabilities to clients that we engage with.
That's awesome. I love that. Bruce?
You've already touched on this one, Michael, but we'll let you see if you have a little bit more. So contract manufacturers do tend to offer other services, and you touched on some of the other things you did, but did you just want to recap that a little bit so that people understand just the diversity and depth of the offerings of your firm?
Yeah, so beyond manufacturing for solid dose, liquids, lotions, creams, gummies, whether it's dietary supplements, skincare, or OTCs, we can help consult on product benefits. If you want to hit this benefit, we can help you think about what ingredients can help you achieve that. If you want to create a portfolio of products, we can help you think about, here are the other products that may be of interest to your consumer. I mean, for instance, I'll be at a ECRM event coming up, hosting a panel on GLP-1s with 3 different brands there. People that are on GLP-1s have a number of other side effects that can be addressed through supplementation. So we can help you think about in this specific example, what are the kinds of benefits that you should be looking for to round out your portfolio, and what are the kinds of products that might be interesting. So as I said, we've got a very strong R&D team. We have great connections across. If you think about everything that a brand needs to think about, we probably have a connection there that can help out. We go to a lot of trade shows. We got to go to a lot of seminars. I was just at one in the last few days that I met several IP lawyers. I met people that are experts in Amazon marketing. And so, yeah, I think our company, or any good co-man that you deal with, should have a very wide network of people that can help you solve any business problem. Because ultimately, if we help you solve your business problems, you'll sell more, we'll manufacture more.
Yep. Great. Love that.
Like that. So, Michael, we're rounding third base, heading for home. So, we have a couple of kind of personal interest questions here toward the end. So, who's had the greatest influence on your career, and what did that person do for you that's really stuck with you over time?
Yeah, I think some of the sales leaders that I've had over the years have been very good at instilling in me sales fundamentals. As far back as when I was selling chewing gum from store to store. You have to be good at selling, uncovering, listening, and uncovering objections so that you can sell to them. And those kinds of skills, I think, have served me well in my career. So some of the early sales leaders I had, my initial district manager was phenomenal. But I can think of 3 or 4 sales leaders that I've had over along my long career that have had a lasting impression. In my stint in marketing, I worked for an excellent marketing leader, and she's gone on to have a phenomenal career beyond what she did. But she really instilled in me the basics of marketing, which I think have stayed with me over time. So yeah, I've been lucky. I've worked in companies with fantastic training programs and great leaders.
That's great to hear.
It's amazing what sticks with you, and it's also maybe it's not completely gone, but boy, you sure don't hear about the investment in training at many firms anymore.
Yeah. No.
It's kind of like here's a chainsaw and there's a tree. Good luck.
Let me know how it works out.
Yeah, we'll do a finger count at the end of the day.
No, I think that's a good point.
Tracy?
Absolutely. So I get to ask the fun question today, Michael. So tell us your favorite football team, brand, or band, and why are you passionate and why do you follow them?
Okay. Favorite football team, brand, or band. So I was lucky enough to be leading the CVS team during the Tom Brady era, and I was the first co-located customer team leader with the customer. So I actually lived in Rhode Island and worked with CVS for 5 years, and there were some glory years. So the Patriots will always be have a great spot in my heart, and the Tom Brady years. It was interesting to see Tom come to Florida and win a Super Bowl with Tampa, which is the area that I live in now. So yeah, I think I would probably go with the.
I love that. So you got to enjoy Tom twice. So
exactly.
So did you live in a beautiful Woonsocket, Rhode Island?
I lived in North Smithfield, but was regularly in Woonsocket. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the only way to get things done there is you got to show up, man. Just like anywhere. Half of victory is showing up.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Michael, thank you so much for time today. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch with you and learn more about Eagle Labs?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 ways. Michael.law@eaglelabsinc.com. LinkedIn, Michael Law, Eagle Labs. And my cell phone, if anybody wants to reach out, is 203-242-6417.
Love that.
You are now the third person insane enough to give out their mobile phone. But then again, when you're in BD, baby, it's always on.
Absolutely.
Michael, thanks so much. Okay, Tracy, finish.
The big finish. Well, thank you, Michael. That's awesome. And loved your football of the Patriots and the Buccaneers. I'm a huge TB12 fan myself. So thanks for coming on today. We really appreciate it. And I know our audience is really going to enjoy this because we get quite a few questions about contract manufacturing that come into the show. So thank you again. And audience, thanks for joining us today. And please continue to follow us on our Spotify, Apple, and also LinkedIn at Road2 Retail. Also check out our new website, www.road2retail.com.
Good luck out there.
And thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.